the story about the transgender girl who took her own life. Why don't you tell us about that?
I found out about this story when I was away on vacation. It was really devastating to me, and it's devastated a lot of folks and beyond the LGBT community. A young woman by the name of Leelah Alcorn took her life. She stepped in front of a tractor trailer a little bit after Christmas, a couple weeks ago, and the reason her story has kind of gone viral is because she posted a suicide note on Tumblr where she called out her parents for she wanted to transition. Her parents, when she came out to her parents as transgender, she's 17 years old. Her parents put her into reparative therapy and didn't support her. They cut her off from all social media and from all of her friends. And that isolation made her feel like she would never get to be the woman that she dreamed of becoming. Mm-hmm. She didn't feel like she had any support, and she took her own life. And
I know.
It's really hard for me. I've talked publicly about my own suicide attempt when I was 11 years old. And whenever I hear about a young person taking their own life simply for being who they are because they didn't feel like they had support, they didn't feel like they would get better. And she even said that she keeps hearing that it's going to get better, but she didn't believe that it would.
Right.
And when I think about the story, I did, and it gets better on video, but I was also very critical of it. I said, if it got better for me when I learned how to reach out and get support, when I really did the work to love, truly love myself. And that's a lot of work, but you can't do it alone.
Right.
And I think, and I don't want to demonize her parents, I think her parents must be going through the worst thing I think any parent would go through. But I think what they did by isolating her and not supporting her, she didn't feel like she could reach out for support. I think it's the worst thing that you can do. I think for all those people out there who feel like you don't have support and don't have someone to love you, there is someone who loves you.
Right.
And there's someone.
You know, the rates, let's talk about the rates of suicide among gay, lesbian, transgendered youth is so much higher than the rates of suicide among non.
Well, the statistics are hard, but we do know, and there's from the Injustice at Every Turn study, 41% of transgender people report having committed attempted suicide, as opposed 41% as opposed to 1% of the rest of the population. So we are at a really high risk for suicide attempts, and I think it's partly because we live in a world that doesn't validate us, and a world that doesn't celebrate us and tell us that we're beautiful. I think it's so important for me to understand. It's been so important for me to understand that I am beautiful, smart, and amazing.
And can I say to you, Laverne, honestly, I think that more than anyone I can know or imagine in history, you know, Dr. Renee Richards, an amazing example, one of the first people I know, trans, that was public. But you have done so much to advance visibility, acceptance, love, and appreciation for trans people. And I just want to say thank you, because it's amazing what you have done with your life and your truth. To stand in it so beautifully, I'm sure inspires many of us, including me.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Are there support services for the parents? Because I watched your documentary, the
T-Word, yes.
And it seems like parents, I mean, no parent doesn't want to support their kid, but I think some parents may be confounded by this. Are there support services for parents?
Well, the Trevor Project, there's some resources that I pass along to the producers. So there are support services for parents and for kids. So the Trevor Project they have a wonderful hotline that if you are contemplating suicide, if you're a young person, call them.
Right.
There's a lot of different resources for parents as well. And I think the biggest thing for me, my mom is very religious. She's the president of the Usher Board. Hi, Mom. in Mobile, Alabama, Bethel
She's
Amy
come
Church.
a long way.
She's come a long way, and it was hard for her. And I think a lot of parents, Leelah's parents cited religion. It was difficult for my mom, but at the end of the day, my mom loves me and she supports me. And but we didn't get there right away.
Right.
And I as a kid, I needed to know. I knew that my mother loved me, but I felt like she loved a projection of me. She didn't really love who I was authentically.
Yeah.
And it really took me, you know, moving to New York, living my life, for her to see that I can be happy and healthy.
I always tell
myself.
Gay kids who write me, I always say, you know, it took you 18 years to come to terms with it and deal with it. You got to give your mom more than a week.
Absolutely.
Right? You got to give your parents some time to catch up,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
For sure.